好! I welcome you to Jade Palace Yamingo. My name is Yaya. The highly anticipated Dynasty Warriors movie has hit Netflix on July 1st. You guys excited? So let's get started. Warning! This video contains spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and don't wish to be spoiled, turn away now and come back when you have watched the film. This is your last warning. Proceed at your own risk. Let's start by saying that there won't be as much history in this video. This movie is based on the video game series Dynasty Warriors, which Japan has romanticized from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which in itself isn't actual history. Any historical events that I will be talking about will be in reference to the events that happen in the film. I do have a Three Kingdoms series in the planning, so be on the lookout for that in the future. Also, I've only played a couple of the Dynasty Warrior games in my youth. My favorite one was the one on the PSP. That being said, I love the games, but I am not as well versed as those who are super dedicated to the franchise. Everything I say in this video will be based on my own opinion and critiques. Let's start off with some basic info of the film. It was first announced back in March 15th of 2016 and was said to be released in 2017. Filming wrapped up November 28th, 2017. However, the pre-production phase took 8 months, the principal photography phase took up to 5 months, and the post-production phase lasted up to a year. The trailer dropped in 2018, estimating a 2019 release. However, actual release date was April 30th, 2021 in China and July 1st, 2021 in the United States through Netflix. It stars Wang Kai as Tao Tao, Louis Koo, Gu Tianle as Lü Bu, Tony Yang, Yang Youning as Liu Bei, Han Geng as Ganyu, Justin Cheung, Zhang Jianshen as Zhang Fei, Sweat Lam as Dong Zhuo, and Guli Naja as Diao Chan. Here's what to expect right off the bat. It's a lot of exposition. The majority of the beginning of the film is just exposition and introducing the characters. This is to be expected because there's a lot of information that you need to know immediately. You need to know the characters, their backstories, and the state of the dynasty that led to the current events. There are captions in the intro of the film that lets you know what is going on with the state of the dynasty as well as the storyline. And don't worry about not recognizing characters, this movie will let you know which character is which. There is a scene where Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei stumbles across the master of the Sword Forge Castle starring Karina Liu, and this whole scene is just a mask for more exposition. This scene, we are introduced to Lü Bu and his history, how he is associated with Dong Zhuo and his infamy. After Lü Bu's scene ends, we are then introduced to Tao Tao and everything he did up until the present point of time. The failed attempted assassination on Dong Zhuo, the betrayal of Lü Bo and the acquisition of his army. Thankfully, this scene was very interesting to watch. So just a heads up that the beginning of the film is a little slow just because of all the exposition. It is after the scene where the trio gets their weapons that the storyline for the movie begins at Hero's Peak. How is the film in relation to the video game? The film kept a lot of aspects of the games, but mixed in with traditional wuxia style. Like the game, it starts off with the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Here, we are immediately introduced to Dong Zhuo, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei. In the game, each character has their own special weapon and moveset. This is retained in the film, but to integrate it better into the movie, the scene with the master of the Sword Forge Castle explains how they received their weapons. For the weapons, Liu Bei is given twin swords, Guan Yu his crescent blade, Zhang Fei twin pikes, Lü Bu his halberd, and Tao Tao is given his commander's sword. These special weapons are the explanation for the special moves. For example, Lü Bu's attacks are electricity-based and Guan Yu's attacks are fire-based. And the reason why these weapons are special is because they're forged from 1,000-year-old blood ore. I really enjoyed that they put the scene in. This is where the film takes aspects of wuxia to explain the game mechanics in the movie. Yes, the main characters are strong, but there's nothing inherently magical about them that allows them these moves. It is through the mystical weapons that were bestowed upon them. Because in the film, only heroes can wield the weapons of the master of the Sword Forge Castle. Wow, that's a mouthful. If you like the Dynasty Warriors soundtrack, you're going to be very happy. The theme song is used throughout the film in important battles, and it is such a bop. It adds the perfect tension and energy, and I was so excited every time I heard it while watching the movie. As a designer, I'm always drawn to costumes. I would say that the costumes were pretty game accurate, especially the armor. Of course, you have so many Dynasty Warrior games that you can't copy any specific armor, but they definitely kept the character aspect of each armor for that character. For example, Dong Zhuo's hat, Yuan Shao with his white hair, side bangs, and his pencil mustache, Lü Bu with his iconic long feathers, and so on. And this goes for the faction colors as well. In the beginning, you don't see this as much for the team of Shu. They didn't have their green colors as much, but on small details of their clothes. And you don't see this green really predominant until the Battle of Hulao Pass. On the other hand, Tao Tao is seen in the color purple almost throughout the entire film as the people under him. History. Again, just off the bat, this movie is not historically accurate at all, but I didn't expect it to be. So if you're looking for a film that is loyal to the novel or historical events, this film may not be for you. There are only two famous battles in the film, the Yellow Turban Rebellion and the Battle of Hulao Pass. In the trailer, it seems like there's a lot more of the iconic battles, but it's only those two, and I'll let you guys know why in a bit. They seem to go with a more historically accurate depiction of Cao Cao and the other characters. They didn't automatically go for the caricature depictions that we have grown accustomed to. Effects. I love how this movie looks. Not only the background and the settings, which are gorgeous in itself, but other graphics of the film. Before I talk about that, let's talk about settings for a little bit. Majority of the film was filmed in New Zealand, and it is beautiful. Everything just added so much depth and fantasy to the film. The background, the scenery, everything. It just added this whole level of mysticism. What I enjoyed about the graphics was that everything that looked real was very realistic except for the battle scenes. But that may not have been a bad thing. Yes, when you watch it, it seems very, very unrealistic, but it seemed like it was right out of a cutscene of a video game. And when I watched it, I felt like it was the movie establishing a relation between itself and the console game. And if anything, the attacks are just simply gorgeous. Actors. When I saw the cast, I have to admit that I was a little surprised. Seeing Wang Kai casted as Tao Tao really stood out to me, but I was very excited to see such big names associated with this film. I'm gonna be a little mean and say that I feel that Louis Koo may have been too old to be playing Lü Bu. Historically, this figure is said to be quite young and handsome. I love him as an actor, and I admit, he was very good looking when he was young, but I feel that this role could have benefited going to a younger actor. Though I want to say that he did play this character very well, not bashing him at all. But maybe because of this, there didn't seem to be any chemistry between him and Guli Najia, who plays Diao Chan. As I said, seeing Wang Kai as Cao Cao was not something I expected. Usually when we see Cao Cao depicted in the media, he's usually bulky, old, and usually not very attractive. But I have to say that I am in love with his portrayal of Cao Cao. He embodies this figure amazingly and depicts his characteristics so well. My favorite part was definitely Cao Cao and Ganyu. I don't know why, but for me, these two characters seem to carry the whole movie. Don't get me wrong, Almost all the other actors were amazing in this film, and I think that they did their roles beautifully. But Tao Tao and Ganyu were just a whole nother level. Tao Tao, I admit that the older I get, the more I like Tao Tao as a figure. I admire his straightforwardness and his interpretation of the world. Keep in mind that when I say this, I'm talking about the real historical figure and not the villainized form of him in the novels and games. Yes, Tao Tao is still crafty and knows how to manipulate people in the film, but we get to see more of why he's doing what he's doing. He's more humanized. He doesn't deny what his goals are, and he calls out the hypocrisy of the other generals. The betrayal of Lü Boshi absolutely broke my heart. Here, we don't have a Cao Cao that is heartless and cruel. What happened was that he is traumatized because he was betrayed by his last rescuer. He was almost beheaded because of this, which is why he so easily misinterpreted the intentions of the family. After realizing his mistake, he and Chen Gong flee, only to encounter Lü Boshi. Mournfully, he tells Lü Boshi what he has done. This scene, we can see the tears that Cao Cao is shedding before killing his uncle. This was a sympathy kill, and he feels so guilty. This is such a good portrayal of the classic scene. We get the iconic line, "I would rather wrong the world than have the world wrong me." And we get more. "I would rather be reviled for eternity than bow to hypocrisy." Yes, these are the classic lines that we all know, but the context is different. He is not being cruel here. He's being realistic. The final interaction with Liu Bei at the end of the film was like a firecracker. We always see Liu Bei and Cao Cao being complete opposites. Liu Bei is the hero, Cao Cao is the villain, and you expect to see that in the film. But that ending scene just shows that they're two sides of the same coin. After the time skip after Hu Lao passed, Cao Cao comes visit Liu Bei and they discuss the other generals. How the other generals just want to become the next rulers and how they used each other to achieve this goal. Liu Bei spouts his normal spiel of, "I'm only doing it for the good of the dynasty. I'm doing it for the good of the people." Cao Cao could see through his facade and told Liu Bei, "You and I are no different." And I found this line so powerful. We know that Cao Cao wants to become the next emperor, and he doesn't deny this. But throughout the film, Liu Bei is portrayed as this goody two-shoes and so selfless. But in this line, we see his mask getting ripped off and he is just as selfish. If anything, he is more manipulative than Cao Cao is because Cao Cao doesn't hide his foxtails. Ganyu, I know what you're thinking. Why is Ganyu so skinny? And I know that a lot of people are going to criticize this to no end. Personally, I liked how he looked in the film. We know that Ganyu is extremely loyal. It's what he's known for. Even historically, he's blindingly loyal, to the point that he was so easily manipulated by Liu Bei. And I enjoy that we can see that in the film, but it's not super cringe. He's not a mindless robot at the beck and call of Liu Bei. His loyalty is just one aspect of his character, and we see this in his interactions with Cao Cao. The chemistry between Ganyu and Cao Cao made me so happy. Historically, they were well acquainted, and Cao Cao really admired Ganyu. And this is portrayed in the film, and by far, these two had the best chemistry. I already despair that historically, Liu Bei got to Ganyu first, but this movie made me even sadder that Cao Cao wasn't his friend first. They would have made the most formidable pair in history. I really commend Wang Kai and Han Gen for being able to portray their relationship so well. This movie doesn't actually go into the Three Kingdoms timeline. It focuses on the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty, which means that the state of Wei, Shu, and Wu don't exist yet. This is why all the iconic battles and events in the game and history aren't in the film. This is why we only have the Yellow Turban Rebellion and the Battle of Hulao Pass. Because this movie takes place during the very, very beginning of the Three Kingdoms timeline, there's gonna be a lot of characters that don't appear in the film. And this goes for very iconic characters as well. If you're a super fan of Zhuge Liang, I'm so sorry to say that you're gonna be super disappointed. Don't expect him to be in the film. You won't see much of the characters that are in the game. If they appear after the Battle of Hulao Pass, they're not in the film. So no Sima Yi and none of the female warriors. So overall review, let's start with what I did like. I love that the focus wasn't on Lü Bu and Diao Chan's relationship. The trailer made it seem like it was a good portion of the film, but thankfully it was only a couple scenes. We do get the love at first sight cliche trope though. I will forever say this. My favorite was how they characterized Tao Tao. Best portrayal, best character, hands down. The symbolism in the film. There is a scene where Tao Tao is running away and Lü Bu is chasing after them. Both are on horsebacks and they encounter a wall. Tao Tao leaps over it while Lü Bu smashes through it. Such a good, subtle symbolism of their differing personalities. What I didn't like. Surprisingly, there wasn't much that I didn't like about this film. I know that the ratings for this film is low, so that a lot of people do disagree with me, but personally, I really enjoyed it. But that can also be because I don't follow the game franchise that closely. I can definitely understand if fans of the game are disappointed in the film. The only thing for me is the intro, and I know that the exposition at the beginning of the film is much needed, and they did a very good job of keeping it entertaining. However, I still feel that the beginning did drag on a little too much. My first impression watching it was exactly, why was the beginning so boring? Overall, I loved this movie, and the more I thought about it, the more I fell in love with it. Words of advice that I want to give is to go in with an open mind. You're not going to enjoy it if you're expecting a perfect rendition of the game. But I super recommend it, and I really think you guys should give it a try. You can watch it on Netflix starting July 1st in the United States. I have a Teespring if you'd like to support the channel. I have a lot of super cute designs that I'm so proud of. So please check it out if you can. Link will be in the description below. So what do you guys think? Do you play the Dynasty Warrior games? How do you think this film did in relations to it? Leave a comment down below because I would like to know. I would also love to discuss what you thought about this movie. Please leave a comment if you can. It really does help out small channels like mine. You can also let me know what topics you would like to see me cover in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to Jade Palace Yamingong. I would very much appreciate it. And until next time, 再见啦，拜拜。